Hello, I am Jorge Guadamus, and this is a brief overview of what will be discussed for the study: key components in planning, implementing, and monitoring a behavior change communication campaign that increased condom use among male clients of sex workers in southern India. In this discussion, the social ecological model by McLeroy will be applied to the study. I will determine how the condom product aligns or does not align with the concept of reciprocal causation, and the areas of influence the study focused on will be identified. So let's begin by looking at the social ecological model by McLeroy. The model contains 5 levels of influence, which include the individual or intrapersonal characteristics that influence behavior, such as knowledge, skills, motivation, and personal traits. The second level, which is interpersonal influence, which are the relationships with others and effects on social identity. We also have the organizational or institutional level influence, which are rules and regulations of organizations that can impact behavior. Next, we also have community level influence, which is the availability and location of resources that promote health, social networks, and social norms. And finally, we have policy level influence, which is local, state, and federal policies and laws that impact health. So to begin applying the social ecological model to the study, we begin at the first level of influence. The first level of influence of the social ecological model begins at the individual or interpersonal level. The individual or interpersonal level of influence includes characteristics that influence behaviors such as knowledge, skills, motivation, and personality traits. In the study, PSI focused on the male clients of sex workers for targeted condom use, since they were recognized as essential target groups that can bridge high-risk groups to the general population. Since there are around 4 to 5.5 million men in these priority towns, and of these towns 27% of men were indicated to pay for sex, it is important for them to have access to condoms and be properly educated on their use to reduce HIV or STIs at the individual level. The framework for the study drew on different theories that included social learning theory, theory of reasoned action, and the health belief model, to name a few listed in the study, that would explain why people take up behaviors like consistent condom use. This framework keeps the focus on the individual skills and education to provide effective condom use. So now moving on to the second level of the social ecological model to the study. The second level of social ecological model is the interpersonal influence. Interpersonal influence involves social relationships and their effects on social identity. PSI disseminated information on condom use through activities such as street theater, folk dramas performed on street corners, and small group contests and games. The study targeted clients in specific geographic regions where members of priority audiences paid for sex and even frequently visited specific areas to buy sex. According to the study, the method they utilized proved to be successful in reaching their target audiences. The program was carried out in these neighborhoods that were known to be areas of solicitation for commercial sex. With the activities like street performances, folk dramas, and group discussions, any male in the target age and range were invited to participate in the activities prepared by the program. Interpersonal communication through these activities, games, and group discussions helped establish a positive belief in condom use and effectively increase consistent condom use among the target audience. The third level of the social ecological model are the organizational or institutional influences. Organizational or institutional influence involves rules and regulations of organizations that can impact behavior. In this case study, the organizational influence comes from PSI and its partners to provide materials and planning to implement activities that educate the target audience. Organizational or institutional influence from PSI included state office teams that developed creative briefs, scripts, and materials for the 4 message themes with some assistance from central office teams. These materials were pre-tested for persuasiveness by in-state PSI teams and to remove any potential bias from the study. As the project reached a peak activity, they employed 457 more employees to reach over 1 million men per month through the activities. The fourth level of the social ecological model is the community influence, which you may recall is the availability and location of resources that promote health, social networks, and social norms. In order to achieve a community level of influence through the program, the first step was to establish offices and hire staff in the 100 priority areas. Subsidizing the distribution of condoms through a program that began in 2003. Increased access to condoms and resources is a helpful component of the campaign in educating and promoting positive beliefs of condom use. And monitoring. Monitoring and the reporting system help relate the number of contacts made in different areas. This reporting system allowed communication teams to be mobilized in certain areas if the percentage fell below a certain target, and they could also cut back on messaging if the percentage went past a certain threshold. This monitoring allowed the campaign to adjust in order to provide a successful campaign in the communities of the different high priority areas. Finally, at the last level, or the fifth level of the social ecological model, is the policy level influence. The policy level of influence includes local, state, and federal policies and laws that impact health. The major components of the behavior change communication was focused by PSI on the initial levels of the social ecological model mostly. The extent of policy influence or governmental influence was limited to the determination of social economics classes. The social economic classes that were focused and identified by the Indian government was based on education levels and household incomes. With the help of the classification on social class, the promotion program was able to narrow its focus down to certain areas and subject with the most need for behavior modification regarding condom use. This study focused on male clients that were within social classes C, D, and E. These social classes are among the lowest. Now let's see if the program aligns with the concept of reciprocal causation. The concept of reciprocal causation posits that causation occurs when two or more events have a simultaneous causal effect upon each other. So does this study align with the concept of reciprocal causation? I believe it does. The program does align with the concept of reciprocal causation because as access to condoms and resources were readily available and activities helped inform men of condom use, more male clients of these sexual workers reported higher consistent use of condoms and higher positive beliefs in condom use. In most areas where the activities on condom use were performed, there was about an 18% increase in the consistent use of condoms, which, according to the study, is a level of success beyond most health campaigns in India. The study also concluded that access to condoms and carefully designed communication programs that is evidence-based and applied consistently can also increase condom use. And to conclude, let's look at the level of influence that the study focused on. The whole program was planned and implemented to focus on the male clients of sex workers in different areas, so their focus was at the individual level, or males in lower social classes of India who frequented areas to solicit sex from workers. The program was implemented to help consistent and inconsistent condom users to increase the consistency of condom use. The target audience of PSI were males in a certain target age. However, it was difficult to distinguish male clients from other non-male clients, so all males within the certain target range was invited to participate in the street performances or activities hosted by PSI. The performances focused on education and gave knowledge to individual males on condom use. And I have here some references if you would like to read more. Thank you.